another episode of The Secret Sauce. Today we're sitting down with real estate pro and entrepreneur, Jay Hancock. And he's the leader of his own team, Jay Hancock Real Estate.
Thank you.
Welcome to The Secret Sauce.
I appreciate you having me.
Excited to have you here and learn all about all your tips and tricks for the success that you're finding.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know how much of it's a trick. It's just, just gotta dig in and see what happens.
What do you think is maybe one of the biggest factors to your success? Like some way you do things or?
Oh gosh, I think there's a lot of factors that have played a role into getting to this place. I think a lot of it came from when I was young. I really wanted a different life than the life that I grew up with. And so as I was watching, other successful people, I was able to, work my way through, and I got a paper out when I was young. So I didn't have to stress my family out. I sold kitchen cutlery. I just did a lot of things that, 12 to 14-year-old kid doesn't usually do. So for me, just doing the things that other people wouldn't do is where I found my niche, my secret,
your wheelhouse,
my secret, so to speak, right? But it's not really a secret. It's just, I think it's just something that, I was graced by God with, and he just opened that. For whatever reason, it just kind of fell about that it ended up working well for me in business.
That's awesome. So you really had that entrepreneur, like I said at the beginning, spirit as a young kid.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to do this interests me, and you just kind of went for whatever it was. Like, I want to be selling this and helping people, maybe. I mean,
I think when it came to real estate, I found that being out in the field and talking to people and really like connecting at that deeper, more intimate level when it comes to like their home and their finances and things of that nature, and not really wanting an outcome either way, but wanting what's best for them, whatever that is.
Right, because it's different for everyone. Right?
Everyone has a completely different outcome that they want to accomplish, and so for me, not having an outcome for myself and just really trying to focus on filling their outcome is where I found, the most success.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. It is emotional.
Very much so.
We've all witnessed,
very much so.
Working in title, we see the end result of that, and sometimes that can be very high emotion at the table, and obviously through the transaction as well. Yeah. So how did you find your way into real estate? I mean, when did you?
Gosh.
How many years have you been doing it? Well, when did you start? How did you get to?
I'm like somewhere
figure out that this is what I want to do.
I'm somewhere between 10 and 11 years selling
Okay,
real
so
estate.
you've been doing it a long time.
Yeah. I was in fitness before that.
Okay.
And I.
Do you have a degree in fitness?
No. I actually never finished college, which is crazy, but it's the way it worked out. School and I never really saw eye to eye, so to speak.
Got it.
I had a really hard time with the detail. I still to this day have the same issue with details and paperwork and things of that nature. But I started in fitness sales really, and I did that in high school. I trained young kids, and then after high school in college, I had strength coaches and things of that nature, and then I got my certification for personal training, and I kind of worked my way through corporate sales with LA Fitness, and then I bought Snap Fitness franchises, and I did that for 6 years, and then
that's interesting. I never knew that about you.
Yeah, and then my ex-wife Samantha, she got her license and she joined the real estate team, and about a year and a half into her career, she wanted to take a maternity leave, and so I got my license so she could actually do that. And so I owned 4 gyms, and then I went to school on the weekends on top of that.
Oh, wow.
To get my real estate license so she could have a maternity leave. And then I found a new love that I didn't know even existed.
Right. That's so good. I mean, everything you're talking about is all that sales, and that's it kind of organically happened that you guys ended up being a team for a while, right? I mean, it's like,
it wasn't on purpose.
That's pretty cool.
It wasn't on purpose. We knew we needed an assistant. Mm-hmm. We were both too busy to not have an assistant.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
To be that busy.
Yeah. And then her family, her brother saw and wanted, to be in that business as well, because he's a sales guy and he was great at sales. He's one of the better salespeople I've met. And so then suddenly we have, the three of us and an assistant, and we're like, well, how far can we take this thing?
That is so cool how that happened.
Yeah.
And, you were obviously right in the right place, because you've had a ton of success. I mean, you did prior to, and now with your new gig, with your J. Hancock Real Estate, that's amazing. Talking about, going back and talking about that relationship piece that you were talking about, and how you can be that piece for your clients, that, building that trust, what are some of those things that you feel that you maybe do differently to create that strong relationship with the people that you serve and that you partner with?
I think it's ultimately about being fully yourself and fully transparent in all areas of your life. I said this to Ashley when I brought her on as my assistant. I said, you have access to all my social media profiles, you have access to my email, and there's nothing that you're gonna see in there that I would care if you saw. And I carry that into the way I operate with my clients. There's nothing that's gonna happen in this transaction that I'm gonna say or that I'm gonna do that I wouldn't be comfortable with you hearing or seeing or what have you. And I think that when you can live your life that way, and when you can operate your business in that capacity, it allows people to really let their guard down and trust you fully, especially when it comes to dealing with the biggest asset they'll ever own.
Oh,
I mean, you have to recognize how important that is to people. And if you're operating with a mask on, so to speak,
they're gonna see through that.
It's not gonna take, maybe they don't right away, but it's not a matter of if, but when.
Yeah.
When they see it, then all of a sudden.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah, you have a real situation on your hands.
I love that authentic piece, because I know that when we tell the story of Trademark in our social media, or when we talk to people, it's just telling them who we are.
Yeah.
It's not, like I've said in a million of these, I should say, that somebody's got to like you before they want to do business with you.
Yeah, that's a Zig Ziglar thing, I think, too.
So building that relationship
Yeah.
is so important.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not business right away, it's relational.
Yeah.
Not always transactional. It's always going to be transactional, because you'll end up working with people, but that initial impression has to be something, like you said, that they connect with on a different level.
Yeah.
On something personal.
Yeah, I think you're at the core of it, we're all dealing with the matters of the heart. Even in a financial transaction, you're dealing with, maybe there's insecurities in their relationship that have to deal with money. Maybe somebody's made a mistake along the way and they're having to recover from it, through the sale of something or an asset or what have you.
Or an investment or something.
There's so many things behind why people do what they do. And if you can not get involved in the emotion of their situation, but you can keep yourself where you're at and stay in your lane and support them within your lane, while not involving yourself in all the intricacies of that. It allows people to be people, it allows you to do your job at a high level, and it allows them to know that you have their best interest in mind, because you're not putting yourself in a position to compromise that trust. Yeah.
And they can fully be themselves too when you show up authentically as well. Going back to that mistakes piece, which we've all made a million mistakes. Is there something that stands out to you of maybe a misstep, or, I hate to say mistake, because, I always feel like,
let me be clear, I've made a million mistakes, so that's fine.
We all have, right? Is there something that stands out maybe in your career, life, whatever you want to elaborate on, that was maybe something you're like, oh dang?
There was a period of time where I lost the joy in doing what I was doing, selling real estate, because I focused so much on where I wanted our family and our team to go, that I lost sight of why I was doing what I was doing. And I think that happens to all people to some capacity as you're going through life, and
when you're growing in different ways too.
Yeah, I mean, well, and you're going through a million things emotionally as well in your own personal life. I think it's really easy to take your own like personal problems and push that out on other people. It happens to me in transactions all the time. Like, you know, especially if you're dealing with a divorce, or you're dealing with this, or you're dealing with, you know, like these very like close to home issues that are happening in everybody's life, and now all of a sudden it's accidentally projected onto other people. And I'm no better than the next person. Like,
we're all human. And that's gonna happen, right?
I've been guilty of the same thing, and I think that's something that if I were to go back and redo it, I would have taken time to like recalibrate before I, you know, kept going at such a heavy clip. I would have like, and I did do that. You know, I took almost a year to just reset in 2022. You know, tail end of 2021, 2022.
Okay.
I took some time, you know, went on vacation, just reassessed what it is that I wanted my life to look like, and who I wanted to be as a person, and how I wanted people to feel working with me. And I thought more about that than I did about my personal production, or and I took my identity off of my production. I took my identity off of that, and I focused it on like, who is Jay, and how do I want people to feel when they work with him? And then all of a sudden you'll start to see the new snowball, and the new snowball is so much better than the old one, because now it's authentic, now it's true, now it's now it's what it was supposed to be from the very beginning.
Right. Geez, that, you know, that self-assessment, although very hard for all of us, to really look at the warts and all of how we show up sometimes, or the impact we have on people, and at times we don't even realize it, because like you said, we've lost ourselves to some extent, and in the, if you want to call it the madness or just the motion of life, that takes a lot to do. So really commend you for that.
And it takes a lot longer than you think it's going to. That's the other thing, is that like
it's not an overnight thing.
No, and then it keeps evolving too.
Yes,
as you keep doing the work, as you keep looking at the deeper root cause, it keeps changing. So.
And then you can adjust. But yes, that growth piece, well, I don't think it ever ends, but I think you come to a crossroads at some points in your life where you know, if you're willing to grow, you're willing to look at yourself and say, what can I do differently? Because really all I can control is what I can do.
You can't control anybody else.
I can't control someone else showing up in an optimistic manner or whatever. All I can do is by my example.
That's right.
To try to share, you know, my road and my experience and be true about it. I love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. Yeah. That is so good. So what do you feel are some of your success habits? Do you have something like daily that you do? Is there something like yearly, maybe monthly, weekly?
I think the success habits that I've created is staying connected to my current, past, and future clients, whether that be via social media, whether that be via email, where I just call them. Like yesterday, I sent probably 30 text messages to past clients, just checking in on their life.
Awesome.
You know, and I think that's really something that I do pretty religiously, and I don't get everybody. Like I wish I could, and I'm working towards, you know, connecting with everyone that I've worked with on a regular basis. But that's something that allows me to have a lot of repeat business, where I consistently can produce at a level that makes sense for my family, for my business, and where I want to go. The other things that I do is I always have lead gen systems running, and I always have new influx of leads consistently, and I call them. I block out, you know, 2 to 3 hours a week of just like, I'm gonna call all of my leads and hammer out as much as I can to try to make new connections. And you know, I'm consistent about that, and I don't stop that regardless of what's happening in my life. And from there, you know, it's taking that creative time, which I haven't done because I left that to my team for a long time. And now I'm recreating new systems and doing new things again. And
are you jazzed about that?
Oh
Do you
my
like
gosh,
doing it?
yeah.
That's awesome.
I just forgot
how much you liked it.
no, I forgot because, you know, like you get into this rhythm where like things are just kind of running.
Yeah.
And then you forget what got you there. You forget the creative changes that you had to consistently make to get to that place. And, you know, having to, you know, wipe the slate clean and like figure this out again has been very difficult, but it's also been one of the best things for my mind, for my being, my spirit.
So good.
And it reminded me that you know what, you're pretty good at this. You should keep doing that. And so I think those are the things that, and they're simple. Like there's nothing that I do that is like out of this world crazy or better than the next person, other than who I am. And that's something that nobody can take.
Exactly.
Is who I am.
That's your magic, right?
Yeah.
You know, that's your secret sauce is yourself.
Yeah.
I love that practice, for one, of balancing that relationship, just hey, how you doing text with your lead gen stuff.
Yeah.
It's that balance of business and that personal touch. And the trick is, right, the consistency.
Yeah, doing it.
Because people love to hear from people that they've worked with or have been connections with and that they're thought about, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's, to me too, it's a no-brainer, and it doesn't take that long to do that, to reach out to someone and say, I hope your day's going well.
No, you know, I saw on one of my past clients, you know, they've had a change of life, and I saw he was going through something, and I just shot him a text, like, how's your mental health? How you doing? Like, I see you're going through some stuff, you know, and just those things that, I don't know, a lot of people don't take the time to do it because they're busy or they're doing their own thing. If you can find a way to do that, I think that's what's going to change everything.
Yeah, so when you level up that care, you know, you think, this is what I want to do. I mean, it makes such a difference to people. Oh my gosh, it makes a difference to people. Is there a piece of advice that you would give someone, maybe starting out in whatever career they're doing, because success looks different to everybody, correct? What is one piece of advice that you feel you could give someone that would help them feel that, like, confidence in moving
fire? The piece of advice that I would give anybody is, you are uniquely you for a very specific reason. Identify what it is that you're really good at within that field, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Figure out what it is, or something that you want to be good at, something that you aspire to be good at. And remember that there are all these things out here. There's all these sales tactics and methods and things like that. But if you can identify who you uniquely are and then take you and put that into those methods, you'll succeed in anything you do. That's ultimately what it is people buy from people they like and trust.
Right.
And if you remember that at the core of it, that's what's true, and that you are good enough, you have your people, and there's more than enough business for everyone to succeed. There always is. There's always room for somebody that wants to succeed. Like I know that. It's the idea of a scarcity mindset. Oh, there's not going to be enough.
Right.
Versus an abundance mindset. There's more than enough. Don't believe that there isn't enough. There always is enough, and there always will be a way for you to succeed.
Is there a change that someone could make? And this kind of goes along with the advice, but is there a change someone could make that would get them closer to their success, maybe catapult them, or do a trajectory quicker? Or
I think there's a lot of things we can do to get to where we want to go faster. I think it comes down to assessing what it is you're willing to sacrifice to get to where it is you want to go. Because everything has a cost. There's not one thing in life or business that doesn't cost something. It might cost you emotionally. It might cost you spiritually. It might cost you financially. It might cost you in the form of time. Like there's a cost to literally everything. You have to assess all of those things and decipher what it is you're willing to sacrifice.
What's not a deal breaker.
Yeah. And then from there you can take action accordingly.
Yeah. A lot of assessing we have to do. But it's if you're thoughtful about it.
Yeah.
You know, and just, I think too, one thing is you gotta kind of just really be patient too.
Yeah.
Because like you said, things don't happen overnight. Like,
no.
Like growth takes a lot of time, building a business takes a lot of time.
It does.
You know, you see these people that are successful, but you, like I said, you don't see how many years they've worked at it and honed their craft or, you know, honed their skills within that.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? I see like all these things on all these social media platforms on like these pictures, right? And there's one that sticks in my mind around that. And it's a ground, it's the ground straight across. There's all these things that happen underneath the ground, and then there's this beautiful flower on above the ground. But you didn't see all the stuff that's beneath the ground that allowed that flower to even come into existence and be as beautiful as it is. And I think that's something that you have to always remember, is that there's a groundwork and something that's got to happen beneath the surface in order for the surface to be beautiful.
Okay, I just want to talk a little bit about your kids.
Yeah.
Okay, the cowgirl, and my gosh,
yeah, it's crazy.
It's congratulations to her. You gotta be so proud. I mean, I'm sure you're proud of all of your children.
Oh yeah.
Because one of your kids is a great basketball player, and I mean, I've seen your
Football
social media stuff, and
yeah, it's crazy.
You know,
these kids, I just look at my kids, and they're so much better than I am. They have,
which we want all our kids to be better than us,
They're so much better than I am. Like, they have these amazing traits from their mom. They have these amazing traits they inherited from me. They have these awful traits they inherited from me and their mom also. But even their awful traits are still better than, you know, some of my best traits in my viewpoint, because they're such, like, they have this, the thing that's beautiful about kids is they have this spirit of life where they haven't experienced all the trauma necessarily that I've had to experience or their moms had to experience, and you just want to see them flourish in that all the way through. And you know, it's cool how sports, and unique sports especially, ones that like rodeo, you know, they teach you, and they teach our kids, they've taught my kids that life is not always going to be fair. Life is not always going to be perfect. Life is not going to be easy. But what they can always rely on is that, number one, they've got a father who loves them. Not necessarily me, but a father in heaven. I always will love them. And that their hope isn't in their success. Their hope is in their future. And if they can keep focusing on the fact that this too shall pass, this is the season that you're in right now, whether it's a good one or a bad one, and we got to keep making our next step for the next season that's coming up, then they're going to be just fine, and they're going to flourish beyond that. And that's something that I think my kids know, and that we've tried to instill in them as a value system. And you know, fortunately, you know, they've been in a winning season. And you know, we got to keep doing the groundwork, because it doesn't last forever. Right. And then the beautiful flower will keep flourishing, right? With all the groundwork. Well, I would like to thank you for coming today. Thank you for having me. Seriously, like I always like I don't do a ton of podcasts, but when I get to do them, I really appreciate it. Yeah. So. Well, we are so grateful that you came and talked to us today. We learned a lot from you. Oh my gosh. Success to you, and best wishes on everything. Thank you. And that, my friends, is the secret sauce.